Mark woke before sunrise as he always did, not because he wanted to, but because the quiet house would not let him sleep any longer. The wooden floor felt cold under his feet as he moved through the hallway, careful not to wake the girls sleeping in the next room. Since his wife was gone, mornings had become the hardest part of the day, because there was no voice waiting for him, no shared glance, no warmth except the memory of it. Outside, the land stretched wide and open, golden grass moving gently under the early wind, a sight that once made him feel free but now only reminded him of how much space grief could take inside a man. His daughters, Lily and Rose, were still young, too young to fully understand why their home felt quieter than other homes. They did not cry much anymore, which worried Mark more than tears ever had. They had learned to be quiet, to play softly, to watch his face before asking questions. Mark tried to be strong for them, cooking meals, braiding hair the best he could, and telling stories at night even when his throat felt tight. He loved them more than the land, more than the ranch, more than anything he had ever known, yet he feared love alone was not enough to give them what they truly needed. That same morning, far from the ranch house, Anna walked along the dirt road with tired legs and an empty stomach. The night before had been cruel, heavy rain soaking through the thin shelter she had been staying in, washing away what little safety she had built for herself. She had packed her few belongings into a small bag and left before dawn, not looking back because there was nothing worth returning to. Life had taught her not to expect kindness, only endurance, and so she walked forward without a plan, guided only by the hope that the road might lead somewhere better. Anna had once dreamed of stability, of a place where her name was spoken with care and where mornings did not begin with worry. Those dreams had slowly faded as one door after another closed, leaving her stronger but also more alone. She did not ask for help easily, not because she was proud, but because experience had taught her that help often came with conditions. Still, as the sun rose higher and her strength faded, she knew she would need to take a risk if she wanted to survive the day. When she finally reached the wooden gate of the ranch, Anna stopped and rested her hand against it, feeling the rough surface beneath her fingers. The place looked quiet, not rich or grand, but steady and lived in. She saw two small figures in the distance, children playing near the fence, their laughter light and uncertain like birds learning to fly. For a moment, Anna considered turning away, but her legs refused to move backward, and something inside her whispered that this place mattered. Mark noticed her from across the yard while fixing a loose board on the fence. At first, he thought she might be lost, but there was something in the way she stood that told a deeper story. She looked careful, tired, and unsure, like someone who had learned to expect rejection. Mark wiped his hands on his jeans and walked toward her slowly, not wanting to frighten her or seem demanding. He had not spoken to many strangers since his wife passed, but he remembered what it felt like to be seen when life was falling apart. Anna straightened when she saw him approaching, her heart racing as she prepared herself for questions she did not want to answer. Mark spoke gently, asking if she was all right and if she needed water. His voice was calm, without suspicion or judgment, and it surprised her more than kindness ever had. She hesitated, then told the truth in simple words, saying she had no place to stay and only needed shelter for a short while. Mark listened without interrupting, his eyes moving briefly toward the house and then toward his daughters, who were now watching them quietly. He felt a weight press against his chest, not fear, but understanding. He knew what it was like to wake up with nowhere to place your pain, to face the day without support. The ranch house had empty rooms and quieter nights than it should, and for the first time, Mark wondered if those empty spaces were waiting for someone. He invited Anna inside, offering food and a place to rest, making it clear she owed nothing in return. Anna followed him cautiously, her senses alert, expecting the kindness to fade at any moment. Inside the house, the smell of coffee and wood filled the air, and the simplicity of the space made her feel both comforted and exposed. Lily and Rose watched her closely, curiosity shining in their eyes as they introduced themselves shyly. As Anna sat at the table, holding a warm cup in her hands, she felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. It was not happiness, not yet, but relief, deep and heavy, like finally setting down a weight she had carried for too long. Mark watched from across the room, noticing how the girls leaned closer to her, how their shoulders relaxed without effort. He did not understand it fully, but he sensed that something important had just begun, something fragile and powerful. Outside, the wind continued to move across the land, unchanged by human struggles, yet inside the ranch house, a quiet shift had taken place. 3 lives that had been shaped by loss and survival had crossed paths in a way none of them expected. Mark did not know what the future would bring, and Anna did not know how long she would be allowed to stay, but for the first time in a long while, all of them felt less alone, and that feeling was enough to carry them through the day. Morning arrived slowly at the ranch, with soft light moving through the windows and touching the quiet rooms. Anna woke on the small couch where Mark had insisted she rest, her body stiff but warmer than it had been in weeks. For a moment she forgot where she was, then reality returned gently instead of crashing down. The sounds of the house were different from places she had known, filled with calm movement rather than tension. In the kitchen, Mark was already awake, preparing breakfast with careful focus. Cooking had never been his strength, but he had learned out of necessity. He glanced toward the living room when he heard Anna stir, unsure how to act, unsure if offering more kindness might make things uncomfortable. He chose silence, letting actions speak instead of words. Lily and Rose entered the kitchen soon after, their hair messy and their eyes still heavy with sleep. They smiled when they saw Anna, a small but honest smile that surprised her. Children had always sensed distance around her, but these girls showed curiosity instead of fear. Anna greeted them softly, not wanting to overwhelm them or claim a place that was not yet hers. Breakfast was simple, but it was shared, and that made it feel full. Mark watched as Anna helped the girls pour juice and wipe spilled crumbs without being asked. There was no performance in her movements, only natural care. He felt something loosen inside him, something he had held tight for too long without realizing it. After breakfast, Mark went outside to tend to the land, expecting Anna to rest. Instead, she followed him and asked if she could help. Mark hesitated, then nodded, handing her light tasks that did not strain her tired body. As they worked, silence settled comfortably between them, broken only by the wind and distant sounds of the animals. Anna felt useful in a way she had not felt in years. Work usually meant survival, but this felt different, like contribution rather than struggle. She noticed how Mark moved with quiet confidence, shaped by routine and responsibility rather than pride. He did not complain, did not rush, and did not treat the land as something to conquer. The girls spent the morning nearby, playing games and occasionally running over to show Anna something they found. She listened to every word, kneeling to their level, asking questions that made them feel important. Mark observed from a distance, pretending to focus on his work while carefully watching every interaction. He felt both comforted and afraid by how easily the girls accepted her. As days passed, Anna remained at the ranch, never assuming permanence, always careful not to overstep. She cleaned, cooked, and helped with chores, but more importantly, she brought presents. She noticed when Lily grew quiet and when Rose grew restless. She learned their habits, their small fears, and the way they missed their mother without knowing how to say it. Mark struggled with conflicting emotions. He was grateful for the peace Anna brought, yet fear lingered beneath every calm moment. He had lost once, and the idea of losing again frightened him more than loneliness ever had. At night, after the girls slept, he sat alone, wondering whether allowing Anna to stay was an act of kindness or a step toward another kind of pain. Anna, too, battled her own thoughts. She felt herself growing attached, not just to the girls, but to the rhythm of the ranch and to Mark's quiet strength. She reminded herself that safety could disappear without warning, that she should not dream beyond the present. Still, when she laughed with the girls or shared quiet moments in the kitchen, those reminders grew weaker. One evening, a strong wind swept across the land, rattling the windows and stirring old memories in Mark's mind. Storms had always unsettled the girls since their mother passed. As thunder echoed in the distance, Lily began to cry softly, and Rose clung to her sister in fear. Before Mark could reach them, Anna was already there, holding them close and speaking calmly. She did not promise that the storm would stop. She did not dismiss their fear. She simply stayed, breathing slowly, letting her presence speak safety. Mark watched from the doorway, feeling emotion rise in his chest that he had not allowed himself to feel before. He realized then that the girls did not just need protection, they needed comfort, and Anna gave that without hesitation. That night, after the storm passed and the girls slept peacefully, Mark sat across from Anna at the kitchen table. The air felt heavy with unspoken thoughts. He thanked her quietly, his voice steady but weighted with meaning. Anna nodded, unsure how to respond without crossing lines she was afraid to cross. Mark finally spoke the words that had been forming in his mind since her arrival. He spoke slowly, carefully, as if each word mattered deeply. He told her his daughters needed stability, care, and a guiding presence. He admitted that he could provide safety and work, but not everything they needed emotionally. Then he spoke the truth he had been avoiding. He said that she needed shelter, and more than that, she deserved a place where she was wanted, not tolerated. He did not speak of love or promise certainty. He spoke of partnership, honesty, and building something real out of broken beginnings. Anna listened without interrupting, her hands folded tightly in her lap. The offer stunned her, not because it was bold, but because it was grounded in reality. She had never been offered a future based on mutual need and respect. She did not answer immediately, knowing that such a decision required time and truth. The house grew quiet again, but the silence was different now. It was filled with possibility, fragile and uncertain, yet alive. Outside, the wind softened, and the land rested under the night sky. Inside, three hearts stood at the edge of change, aware that life was asking them to choose whether fear or hope would guide their next step. The days after Mark spoke his truth moved slowly, as if time itself was waiting for Anna to decide. Nothing changed on the surface, yet everything felt different beneath it. Anna continued helping around the ranch, but her thoughts were heavier, her heart more alert to every small moment. She noticed how the girls looked at her now, with trust that felt deeper, and that trust scared her more than rejection ever had. Mark gave her space, even though it was difficult. He did not repeat his words or push for an answer. He knew pressure would only turn honesty into obligation, and he refused to build anything on force. Still, every quiet meal and shared task carried the weight of what had been said. Anna spent long hours walking near the fence line, thinking about her past and the road that had led her here. She had learned to survive alone, to depend only on herself, and to leave before attachment could hurt her. This offer challenged everything she believed about safety. It asked her not just to stay, but to belong. The girls sensed the shift without understanding it. Lily became quieter, watching the adults closely, while Rose asked more questions than usual. Anna answered gently, careful not to promise anything she could not keep. At night, when the girls slept, Anna lay awake listening to the house breathe, wondering if this place was a shelter or a turning point. Mark struggled with doubt of his own. He questioned whether his proposal had been fair or selfish. He worried that he had asked too much from someone who already carried too much. Yet when he imagined the girls growing without guidance or warmth, he knew silence would have been the greater mistake. One afternoon, while working together in the kitchen, Anna finally spoke. Her voice was calm but firm, shaped by thought rather than impulse. She said she respected Mark's honesty and understood his reasons. She said she cared for the girls deeply and wanted them safe and supported. She also spoke of her fears. She said she could not replace anyone who came before her. She said she did not want to be chosen only because of need. She needed truth, patience, and time to grow into whatever this could become. Mark listened without interrupting, relief and respect mixing inside him. Mark answered with the same honesty he had shown before. He told her he did not expect replacement or perfection. He said he was not asking for a role but for a partnership. He admitted he did not know what love would look like after loss, but he knew loneliness was not the answer. They agreed to move forward slowly, without promises beyond effort and care. Nothing would be forced, and nothing would be hidden. That agreement alone lifted a weight from both of them. For the first time since her arrival, Anna felt like she had a voice that mattered. The girls were told in simple words. Mark explained that Anna might stay longer and help them as a family. Lily listened carefully, her eyes serious, while Rose smiled without hesitation. When Anna knelt to their level and asked how they felt, Lily hugged her tightly, answering without words. Life settled into a new rhythm that felt natural but cautious. Anna became more involved in daily routines, helping with school lessons, meals, and quiet evening moments. Mark found himself relying on her insight, especially when the girls struggled with emotions they could not explain. He began to trust not just her actions, but her judgment. Anna slowly allowed herself to relax. She laughed more easily and slept more peacefully. She still feared loss, but she no longer let that fear guide every step. The ranch no longer felt like a borrowed space. It felt like a place where her presence made a difference. Mark noticed changes in himself too. He smiled more often and felt less burdened by constant responsibility. Sharing the weight of parenting did not make him weaker, as he once feared. It made him stronger and more present. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in soft colors, the family sat together outside. The girls talked excitedly about small plans and future dreams. Anna listened, feeling both hope and responsibility settle inside her. Mark watched them, feeling a quiet sense of rightness that he had not felt in years. The moment was simple, but it carried meaning. It showed them what life could be if they chose to keep moving forward together. Not perfect, not without struggle but shared. That night, Anna made her decision quietly. She told Mark she would stay and build something real with them. She did not promise forever, but she promised honesty, effort, and care. Mark accepted her words with gratitude rather than relief, knowing trust was something earned daily. The house felt warmer that night, not because anything dramatic had changed, but because choice had replaced uncertainty. Outside, the land rested under the stars, steady and patient. Inside, a family took shape, not through chance, but through courage, ready to face whatever came next together. The morning Anna chose to stay felt different from all the mornings before it. The sun rose gently, spreading light across the land as if blessing the quiet decision made in the night. Anna moved through the house with a calm heart, no longer feeling like a guest waiting for time to run out. The ranch felt steady beneath her feet, not borrowed, not temporary. Mark noticed the change without her saying a word. He saw it in the way she hummed softly while preparing breakfast, and in how she spoke to the girls with confidence instead of caution. Lily and Rose sensed it too, their laughter brighter and their steps lighter as they moved through the house. Something unseen had settled between them, something solid. Life moved forward with steady purpose. Days filled with work, learning, shared meals, and quiet conversations. There were no sudden miracles, only progress shaped by patience. Mark and Anna learned each other slowly, respecting boundaries while building trust. They spoke openly about fears, hopes, and mistakes, choosing honesty even when it felt uncomfortable. The girls grew stronger in this environment of consistency. Lily became more expressive, sharing thoughts she once kept hidden. Rose slept through the night without fear, her small hand often reaching for Anna's in the dark. Mark watched his daughters change and felt gratitude rise in him every day. The idea of marriage was discussed carefully, without pressure or haste. Mark explained that he wanted to offer commitment, not obligation. Anna listened thoughtfully, knowing the weight of such a choice. She wanted to be certain that this path was built on shared will, not shared need alone. One quiet afternoon, as they stood near the old fence, Mark spoke clearly and calmly. He told Anna that he wanted to stand beside her not just as a provider, but as a partner. He said his girls needed a mother figure who chose them freely. He said he wanted a future shaped by respect and care. Anna took time before answering. She looked at the land, the house, and the life that had grown around her without force. She thought about the road she once walked alone and the shelter that had turned into belonging. She answered with confidence, saying she chose this family and the life they were building together. The girls were told gently and simply. Mark explained that they would become a family in a new way. Lily listened quietly, then smiled with understanding. Rose clapped her hands with joy, not fully grasping the meaning but feeling the happiness around her. The wedding was small and honest, held under the open sky near the ranch. There were no crowds, only a few close neighbors and the land itself as witness. Anna wore a simple dress, and Mark stood steady and proud. The girls stood between them, holding flowers they had picked that morning. Their vows were spoken with care and truth. They promised patience, effort, and loyalty. They promised to grow together and face hardship as one. There were no grand promises, only real ones. After the ceremony, life returned to its rhythm, but with deeper meaning. The house filled with warmth that came from shared responsibility. Decisions were made together. Burdens were carried together. Anna found herself becoming a guide, a listener, and a steady presence for the girls. Mark found balance, knowing he was no longer carrying everything alone. The girls thrived in the security of knowing they were chosen and loved. Time passed gently, marked by seasons and small victories. The land continued to stretch wide and open, but it no longer felt empty. It felt alive with purpose and memory. The ranch became more than a place to live. It became a home shaped by resilience and care. On one quiet evening, the family sat together watching the sun fade into the horizon. The girls leaned against Anna and Mark, content and safe. Anna felt gratitude settle deep within her, not for shelter, but for belonging. Mark felt peace, knowing he had chosen courage over fear. Their story did not begin with romance or ease. It began with need, honesty, and a shared willingness to try. Over time, that foundation grew into something stronger than comfort alone. It became family. As night fell and stars appeared above the land, the house stood firm against the quiet. Inside, laughter and calm filled the space where loneliness once lived. The future remained uncertain, as all futures are, but they faced it together, grounded in choice, trust, and the simple strength of staying.